Sonta, Sonta, we die for Sonta. The deaths of our enemies is why we live. Yes, hello, welcome once again to another glorious day in the Sontaran Empire, and another glorious day for fighting against the Rutan hosts, the vile, despicable jellyfish enemies of the Sontarans. And here with me is my second in command, Snark. The Snark
Lousy
is,
jellyfish.
yes, infuriating amoeboids.
That's right. Also, if we get stung by one of those humans, we have to key on whatever stung it.
Yep.
That's
Hit,
way
hit,
worse.
hit him twice as back, twice as
Mhm.
hard. But
Hmm.
before that, my friend Snark, which I'm just now realizing would make an excellent Sontaran name, Snark.
That's right. It makes
There's
an excellent everything name.
Yep, the perfect name for everything. You've experienced something recently, have you not?
I'm
Your
sorry.
cloning
Oh,
cycle, or as the humans call it, a birthday.
my hoopy birthday. Yeah.
Yep, and you are not the only one to celebrate their day of cloning. I mean, day of birth
Oh boy.
on this week. Now, of course, we are recording this a day late because the good Sontaran Snark had to celebrate that day, but. We're going from the 9th of April all the way to the 15th, even though this is being technically recorded on what is the 16th for you and the 17th for me, because we be wobbly timey wimey. And from between the 9th and the 15th, slightly smaller list of people, but twice as effective, I would say. On the 9th, we have the, and I cannot believe I, as a Sontaran, am saying this, the lovely and beautiful Neve McIntosh.
Mm.
I can kind of tell you would not guess what her role is with a gun to your head.
Nope.
Yes, because she was under a ton of makeup and prosthetics when she played the character of Madame Vastra in the 11th and 12th Doctor eras, the Silurian woman who had a Sontaran named Strax as her servant. The indignity of it all. Of course, she played several other Sontaran characters all over Doctor Who, both on TV and Big Finish. She played several other characters on Big Finish as well, but for the most part, she will always and forever be remembered as the iconic character of Madame Vastra. And speaking of people who spend their huge part of their career playing multiple characters in Doctor Who, we have still alive on the 11th, 91 years old, Derek Martin. He primarily was a stuntman on a lot of Doctor Who episodes, particularly from the 60s all the way to the 70s, and he mainly played minor roles, most of which were completely uncredited in episodes such as The Romans, The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve, The Highlanders, the Mind of Evil, the Ambassadors of Death, Inferno, The Claws of Exos, and The Image of the Fendal. Mostly uncredited until now. Now, here's another. What?
It's a congratulations to him.
Yes. Good for you, puny
He gets
human.
his due on the greatest show in the galaxy, at least.
Yes. Good for you, puny human. Now, speaking of puny, here is another minor role by a pretty significant actor on the 11th as well. We have Matt Ryan. That Matt Ryan, not the other one. You know which one I'm talking about. Yes, John Constantine on the Arrowverse played a tiny, minuscule character in a Torchwood episode called Meat. But he's Matt Ryan, of course, so you know. Sure. On the 13th of April, probably, actually, no, easily the biggest name on the list, especially in terms of Doctor Who, we have on the 13th Mr. Peter Davison. Of course, the fifth Doctor, and one that actually did come up against Sontarans in comic book form, which is interesting. the next person on the list, on the 14th, we have what the Doctor Who fandom regularly refers to as Uncle Terry, Terrence Dicks. He was primarily a writer and script editor for Doctor Who, but for the most part, he will always and forever be remembered as the man who essentially brought the Doctor Who novelizations into being. He worked on almost every single one of the Doctor Who novelizations to some capacity, and yeah, he's a pretty big legend in Doctor Who fandom.
Cool.
And speaking of people who are pretty huge in Doctor Who fandom, also on the 14th, a hero fighting against monsters for a whole new generation of kids, the one and only Peter Capaldi. Played several characters in Doctor Who, starting, of course, with Lobos Caecilius in The Fires of Pompeii, moving on to John Frobisher on Torchwood, the Children of Earth season. But of course, you all know why he's here. He's the Doctor, the 12th Doctor, and one of many people's favorites Doctor. Some might say some say he is their favorite Doctor, and someone who is explicitly tied to the 12th Doctor. Finally, to rounding up our list on the 15th of April, we have the wonderful and lovely Miss Maisie Williams. Of course, played the character Ashildr, who later changed her name to Me. And she appeared regularly across Peter Capaldi's second season. And some say she could still return as that character, if only in audio form potentially, because if you know what that character went through, that's kind of the only medium she can return in. But most people probably would recognize her from Game of Thrones and other stuff. But to Doctor Who fans, she is Me. I mean, the character Me, not me. Think you get it. So the short but wonderful list of people we had today. Thank you all. We quite literally could not do this without you. So, comics, am I right?
Comics.
Yes. So when I decided to make Sontaran month, I didn't really have much of a plan.
Sure.
I'm going to be completely honest. And this was especially true for week number 3, which, as per usual, I usually bring up something from the expanded Doctor Who medium. So novels, Big Finish audios, comic books, video games, all kinds of stuff. This one, for some reason, the first thing that came to my mind was a story from the late 1970s, early 1980s comic strips from Doctor Who magazine, which was later in the mid 80s adapted into a full-on comic book story called Dragon's Claw. Of course, it was part of the ongoing whatchamacallit, the Doctor Who the Doctor Who magazine. But in the mid 80s, they took like the first 50, 60 issues and combined it all into just one big book that for some reason just stopped, and they stopped making it after the fact. But the big bonus there was that for those of you who don't know, the Doctor Who magazine comic strips, at least until the mid 90s, were all in black and white. So the big plus there was that when they took all these comic stories and adapted them into the one big long book, they were all colorized, which is good. Almost mirroring Doctor Who on the TV show, where it started in black and white and then transitioned into color. Now, as for Doctor Who stories featuring Sontarans, especially in the comics, after reading this, I suddenly remembered that there are a couple of other better options I could have gone with. The aforementioned Fifth Doctor story, just to name one. There's a really good 11th Doctor Sontaran story, just to name another one. But for some reason, that was the first one that popped into my head, particularly because of this image after rereading this for the second or third time. Now suddenly realizing it's not a very good Sontaran story, to be honest. There's not a lot going on
Well, you
here.
could say one thing. They're the Sontarans are kind of in the background in this story, so it's very much like how they use the Sontarans in the show as well, though. So it could be like a regular Sontaran story. Just they're used very sparingly.
Right, well, using them sparingly means that we never really get bored of them, even though I'm guessing some people are going to probably point this out in the comics. There is actually an ongoing big mega story on Big Finish right now called Sontarans versus Rutans, which is a big cross doctor thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, that thing is incredibly recent. I'm not even sure it's done yet. I'm not even sure it's over. And with it being so recent, A, I did not have a chance to listen to all of it. And B, it is incredibly expensive and not something I can afford to listen to in its entirety at the moment.
Mhm.
So this comic fits the bill, I suppose. Now
Sure.
on Doctor Who magazine, this was a six-parter. There was 6 weeks. Actually, I think this was back in the day when Doctor Who magazine was Doctor Who Daily, where it was a daily comic. So yeah, 6 different parts that were adapted into a two-parter when they did the big thing in the 80s. So yeah, we for some reason because it was a six-parter in the Doctor Who magazine, I kind of thought the story was a bit longer. So we aren't going to go over the entire story, but we are going to try and pretend it's a bigger story than it actually was, and that the Sontarans actually had a bigger presence in it.
Oh, okay.
Now, all that being said, the story itself, of course, if you listen to if you've seen the title of this video, this episode is called Dragon's Claw. Before we
Mhm.
start, overall thoughts. What did you think of the story that you read? So,
I thought it was fine. There's some characters I really liked. I thought introducing Santarans with Shaolin monks could have been uh, quite a good actual TV show, as long as it was done right. Of course, Doctor Who always not always the best when it comes to uh, uh, Far East Asian characters. That's for sure.
especially in the
Uh,
classic series.
yes. Yeah, but it was fun. There's some really good bits in it. It has K9. So what am I gonna do? Am I gonna get mad
I
at
knew you were gonna
K9?
love that.
And also, the first time I had read anything with Sharon in it, she was brought up in when we did the companions tier list. I'd
Mm-hmm.
never read anything about her and stuff like that. So yeah, got to see a little bit of her. She's kind of has the Game of Death stuff on or whatever for her outfit, very much like not only Bruce Lee but the Bride as well from Kill Bill.
Yeah,
So yeah, I was happy. I was happy with it. I was happy with the story. I just wish there was a little bit more.
yeah. I just wish there was a little more Sontarans in it now after reading it again.
Mhm.
But let's start off, of course,
Also,
with
I just want to say, and the artwork looks great. It looks like a Marvel comic. Like I know that Marvel picks it up
it was.
after.
It is Marvel Comics.
Yeah, I know that they picked it up. I guess did they like you were saying it was coming from the magazine from the Doctor Who magazine, or were they already publishing it through there? Because I look on the thing and you see like the story, like you see like John Romita and stuff like that has stuff to do with it. But I don't know if it's just because he is the art director of Marvel at the time and stuff like that, so he gets his name on everything.
No, it's the original Doctor Who magazine was published by Marvel Comics for
Well,
a
there you
lot
go.
of years. So
Nice.
yeah, I can't remember the name. It's gonna bother me. It's a pretty big name in Marvel, but he's actually credited as the co-creator of Beep the Meep.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Not John Romita? Maybe Steve Moore?
he, it's gonna bother me. I'm gonna look it up now.
It's not
Uh,
Ditko.
I
Ditko's
think
gone.
his name does pop up in the episode, the Star Beast, the TV version of the Star Beast.
Hmm.
Let's see, Beep the Meep, Dave Gibbons.
Okay.
Yeah, Dave Gibbons, co-creator of Beep the Meep. But we're not here to talk about Beep the Meep, right? We're here to talk about
We talk
Sontaran.
about him plenty.
Yeah, we can make an entire episode just about Beep the Meep. But yeah, so Sontaran's Dragon's Claw. First of all,
Yep.
I like the design of the title there, the Dragon's Claw with the actual claw. Kind of wish there was actual dragons in it.
Yep.
If not,
or a
at least
claw.
at least
There's neither a
robot
dragon nor a claw.
Yeah, there's the great title has nothing to do with the story. Just like
Yep.
a lot of Doctor Who stories, as a matter of fact.
And
but
the
yes,
dragon's claw in the title looks more like a cactus.
let me zoom in for a second. Okay, now you said it, I can see that.
Yeah.
I thought it looked more like a cat's claw, but no, I can see the cactus there.
Sure.
You know what? Looking at it like this, it kind of reminds me of Lumiere. All of a sudden,
It would make as much sense calling it dragon's cactus.
yeah, pretty much cat's cactus.
There you
So yeah, the episode starts with a raid by Japanese pirates on a Chinese city in 1522,
go.
and this quickly becomes a counter-strike by these Chinese Shaolin monks that show up and try and start saving and protecting the civilians in the city. They fighting back against the Japanese pirates. A lot of you can tell which is which because one side is wearing clothes and the other one isn't.
Right. When it's their robes on, anyways.
Yeah.
It's
So
like they just got out of the bath.
So off the bat, what?
So one looks like they just got out of the bath, and the other ones look like they're just about to jump in it.
Pretty much, it's a before and after.
Yep, that's right.
Yep. And also one side is bald, and the other side actually has hair on their heads.
Some of them.
Or in other words, as we say on this show.
Yeah.
Yep, always got to bring that up whenever possible. And so, at face value, in first couple of pages, you look at this, and you think this could be just another pure historical. It's been a while since Doctor Who on the TV show did something like this, a pure historical, and then this happens. One of the Shaolin monks just pulls out a laser gun and blasts a couple of fools.
Ripped from the pages of history. 50.
Yep. Of course, it's very historically, very accurate for the time. I mean, neither of us lived there. Who knows? Maybe that could have happened.
You're right.
Yeah, but then of course the TARDIS lands in that same general area, and finally the Doctor managed to bring Sharon to Earth. It's a bit of a long story, but because this is like after the key to time stuff, the Doctor still has the randomizer in the TARDIS. So if he had trouble steering the TARDIS before, now it's 10 times worse. So yeah, he's been trying to get Sharon home for the past couple of issues. She aged in the process. She aged several years in the process. Whole other story. You can go and read the full comic to get the full context. But they finally land on Earth in 16th century China and immediately get attacked by these monks who immediately think that they're part of the raids because they have Western European looks to them.
Right.
Or just look they don't look local is what I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but the one guy got pretty specific. He knew that the one was Western, one was African, and stuff like that. But with Japan and China being so closed off as they were to foreigners at the time, I am quite surprised that they knew exactly where these people were from.
Yeah, actually, you're right. That is a very good point. I mean, to them, anyone who didn't look like them, they just called them barbarians.
They had one guy. They had one guy go through China at the time and hung out with the Mongol king for a while. But yeah, he was one Italian guy, and that would have been 100 years before this.
200 years, I think.
Oh, I thought it was in the 1400s that Marco Polo was there.
Yeah,
could have been early. Could have been the 1200s. You're right.
Yeah,
the 200 years.
Yeah,
But they all remember what he looked like. That's good.
yep. They the that was actually an episode of Doctor Who, all the way back in the Hartnell era.
Ooh.
But let me just
Oh, right.
check. That was actually the fourth story, and yeah. So he lived from 1254 to 1324, so
There you
around 300 years ish before this.
go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at first, they're like I mentioned, they try to attack them, and then the one good guy, the one Shaolin monk that we've been introduced to a second ago in this page
Yeah, the
specifically.
protector.
Yeah. I mean, they pretty much set him up from the beginning, from this page, as okay, he's gonna be the good guy. He's gonna be the Doctor's friend for the story. Like you can pick out these characters in these Doctor Who stories right off the bat, and he manages to convince them to take the Doctor and Sharon back to their monastery. So they go on this cart. They have this big long journey that I believe takes several days, and they finally reach the monastery. They tell him the story of the 18 bronze men.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor is, of course, curious. Of course, he's also very, very suspicious of the fact that alien weapons suddenly find themselves in the 16th century Earth. That's anachronistic. The doctor can't help but get involved after this. And then they learn a story about the previous abbot who was banished by the current abbot, and he just went off to become a hermit for about 8 years. So the Doctor and Sharon find a way to use K9 to stun the guy that's guarding them, so they can climb over the wall and go speak to the guy. And yep, you can see him at the bottom panel there. Pretty much what you expect from a hermit at around that time.
I guess so. That he said he's been like that for however many years, 8 years or something
8 years.
Yeah. And they bring him food and stuff like that. If he hasn't moved, and that's all the like you could see the stuff covering. It's like that's the wind and everything else, pushing the elements, pushing the earth over him and stuff like that. Him not moving. That entire area has to smell very bad. I would imagine.
Terrible. Yeah.
I would imagine like when they came up to him, they like you can see a smile on the doctor's face there. I'm sure that smile did not last long.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, the doctor has shown that he doesn't mind certain smells from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about Sharon though, but kind of reminds me of that guy from Life of Brian who was sitting in the pit and wasn't talking to anyone. That's kind of the vibes I was getting from this guy when I read it.
Sure.
But yeah, so then after they sit down and talk to him, he tells them the story of a fireball that fell from the heavens and crashed on Earth. And short time after that, the other guy came in and bested him with this new martial art form, and he beat him and became the new abbot. And his second in command or whatever follow the Doctor and Sharon and attacks them. But they somehow manage to overpower him, and they tie him to a pole as they make their way back to the monastery right before sunrise, and they somehow manage to get back to their cell, being completely unnoticed. And the guard, the guy who was standing guard, didn't notice a thing, didn't even notice they were gone. So, perfect cover story.
Thank goodness for K9's stun blast.
Yeah. Which was very, very time specific. It stunned him all the way up to the exact moment they came back. So K9's always been known for being incredibly plot specific, convenient with his
mathematical, almost medical in his precision.
Affirmative.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And since that guy isn't a Satanist, he didn't just kill him, which is nice.
Yep. He's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, The following day, when they finally wake up, then and they explain the story to the guy. He takes them on a tour, and you see these giant, massive doors that only the people who have studied the martial art for 5 years are allowed to enter and go through the trials there, and no one, particularly the doctor, is allowed. So of
Nope.
course, the doctor's gonna go in there at some point, right?
Yep, he's a curious cat.
Yep. Well, that's two incarnations down the line, but pretty much yes. The and eventually the abbot guy, someone snitched on the doctor, telling about the story about how they stunned the guy and they went to talk to the old ancient abbot, and so the doctor runs into the giant wooden doors, and what does he see when he enters?
Oh, he sees the bronzeman, doesn't he? Oh, doesn't he see the wooden fighting things first?
Yep, I was trying to lead you off. He
Yes.
sees this massive training thing.
Yes. What are those
That,
things called again? We talked about them before. I can't remember what they're called right now, though.
what?
The wooden fighting dummies, but I can't remember what they're called.
Did we talk about them? I don't remember.
I thought so at some point.
I don't know.
Maybe
But
it
yes,
was some other show. I've been doing a lot of these shows.
maybe. I just love the backhand slap at the top panel there. Fool! Yeah, that's
Yeah,
one of the,
he pimp slapped them.
yeah. That's a comic book panel that you read and you can absolutely hear it while you're reading it. It's like fool. But anyways,
Poor guy gets pimp slapped in a
yeah,
Doctor
poor
Who
guy.
comic. Unreal.
You know what? This reminds me of the Batman bitch slaps Robin comic.
Yeah, for sure.
Fool! And the newer Abbott decides to follow the Doctor with the laser gun,
Yep.
and then the Doctor realizes the true how deep this conspiracy does go. Sontarans. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually Sontarans that are the 18 bronze men, and they're actually running the show from behind the scenes. And like you read, just like with the previous panel with the fool, you look at this panel and you see the good grief, the bronze men, they're Sontarans. You look at that and you can hear the Doctor Who theme song, that leads into the cliffhanger, and that's how the episode ends.
End of part one. End of
And
part one.
yeah, well, I believe at this point it was like part 3 or 4 in the
Oh, okay.
original thing, but because they cut it down to 2 parts, then yes, part 1.
Sure.
So, what are your thoughts on the story so far?
Well, of course, I like that. Like, yeah, I thought it was interesting having the monks, but I thought it was also interesting. Like the Shellan monks, their swords are weird. They're like those with a hook on the end. Like, what do they need a hook on their swords for?
To I
With the hook
guess
thing?
I guess they're because they're peaceful. They don't want swords that stabs that stab. They just want swords that can disarm. Like
Oh,
someone fights you with a sword, you use that sword and you hook the sword away from them and disarm them. I
okay.
just pulled that out of my ass. I have no idea. Let me just check.
Yes. I just
See
thought
it.
it was an interesting choice for the art on it or whatever. Just give them a little bit of a curved sword. Yeah. Again, it's interesting that there's a bloodthirsty Shaolin monk as well. Uh, that's not usually something that the Buddhist monks are known for. So, we'll see what happens with what's going on here in the future. Power hungry Shaolin monk can't be a good thing.
Yeah, Shaolin monks are supposed to be peaceful, so
Hmm.
what the hell, dude?
Yeah,
In any case, the panel is. So this is what Shaolin monks' swords actually look like. So I
right.
don't know where they got that idea for in the comic.
They
Let's
must
see.
have just thought it was fun. They must have just thought it was fun. It look yeah, like the handles look like that Hunyan Shaolin sword, like that same kind of handle. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's an actual thing apparently.
There you go. They were.
Hmm.
It's specific.
Oh, well, learn something new every day, I suppose.
Tiger hook sword. There you go.
Cool. So obviously, because I specifically sent you this comic for the episode, so you knew some Sontarans were coming. But while you were
Yep.
reading this story, did let's assume you didn't know about some Sontarans. If you were reading for the first time, taking the rest of the context out of it, would you have guessed that some Sontarans are involved? The Bronze Men.
Yeah. No, I would have thought Cybermen.
Yeah, it's a very easy leap to make.
Yep. 100%. And also because when I first started reading it, I forgot we were going to be talking. It was Santaran month, so I thought, oh, this could be something about Cybermen again. Nope, Santarans.
Cool. So I guess that's the power of Doctor Who cliffhangers for you. You see a
Mhm.
panel like this, you realize Sontarans are involved, and then like your mind is racing like at 1,000 miles per hour, thinking of the possibilities that this could bring to the table.
That's right.
And I just love the artwork for the next issue, the cover art of the a bronze colored Sontaran.
Yeah.
Shame they don't really show up all that much in this issue. Uh,
Nope.
it's still mostly just the Shaolin monks story.
Yeah.
But
Like
going
a
back,
grand total of maybe 6 panels dedicated to Shellen or to the Santarans.
yeah, more or less, and still no sign of a claw. But you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm I'm looking at the title again, and that uh, claw that you said looks like a cactus.
Hmm.
I'm just not noticing that's a Sontaran hand with the three fingers.
Oh,
So that's what
there you
that's the decision they went with. Still looks nothing like a dragon's claw,
go.
but
That's true.
I guess they felt dragon's claw was a cool sounding title.
Yes.
Anyways, back to the story. So the Sontarans basically have the Doctor pinned up against the wall, but they can't shoot him because he's standing right in front of important computers and equipment.
Yeah.
So
That
the
computer is so big it could run it's basically an Atari 2600 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean it is the 80s. That's how computers were at the time.
Yeah.
No one thought in their wild ideas that sometimes would have advanced technology like minuscule computers, tiny computers, or even dare I even say it, portable computers.
How dare you, sir?
Yeah, but yeah. So eventually he moves away from the computers, allowing the Sontarans to shoot him, blasting a hole in the wall, knocking the guy out. I love the how the situation just develops where they shoot the wall explodes outside, and then the rock just hits the guy in the head.
Yes.
But yeah, then the Doctor escapes through the giant hole in the wall and drags the other Shaolin guy with him. Yeah, K9 and Sharon at the same time escape their guard, the one that's looking after them. But yeah, so
It's
and then
unfortunate that Sharon had to call him Baldy, though.
yeah, that's kind of body shaming, right?
Yeah, it's like, okay, come on. What is
Come on, Sharon, do better.
Do better.
It's 1980. Come on.
Yeah. And 15, whatever, as well.
50. It's 1522.
That's right.
Anywho, so they
Terrible.
I love what I love what the Doctor said in that top right panel. They sound the alarm. Yeah, that's an alarm system. That's a 16th century alarm system.
Yeah, the biggest bell gets to be the alarm.
Yeah, so yeah. Then all the Shaolin monks go after them because they're. We later find out that they were actually brainwashed and hypnotized. But the one guy, I love how they're all coming at him with swords, and the one guy just taking them hand to hand. and winning most of the time until the Doctor decides to call it quits
Well,
and
he
just
promised he wouldn't lay arms against his brother. He didn't say he wouldn't lay fists.
yeah. But what I'm astonished is that he's actually winning with
Yeah,
his fists, and he's not even
because he's devout.
fighting.
He's devout.
Yeah, he's a
His
true proper
righteousness,
felon.
his righteousness is guiding his fists.
Righteous fists, and he's not even using his fists. He's not even punching them. He's just
He's
disarming
kicking,
them,
yeah, he's
which is
kicking them in the face.
true. Yeah, I forgot about that bit.
Mhm,
But moving on. Yeah, there's the kick in the face and the kick in the chest.
mhm.
So yeah, he fights them pretty much on his own. And I love how like the guy takes out like 8 guys before Kina even has a chance to shoot at one of them.
Mhm. This guy's
Uh,
fast.
yep, super fast.
Yeah.
Eventually, at some point, they realize that it's too much for him, so they drag him away, and it tells them the story of what one has to do once you cross those giant wooden doors, and that's how they get into the conversation about the giant this little floating orb that
They have to
hypnotizes
train.
them.
They train for 10 years, and only 40% of them get to live. So there you go. They sure had a
Yeah.
lot of Shaolin monks.
Well, maybe it was really popular. Maybe they had a really good recruitment office.
They got a really good barber.
A shaver.
That's right.
Then of course they wait. Oops, that is a that is the one panel that is out of order. I apologize. That was the previous panel where they drag him away. They blast a hole in the wall with K9. Anywho, so they eventually make their way to the Ancient One, or the hermit guy who snatches up the Doctor's
The
jelly baby.
original Abbott.
You, hey, Abbott! And look, the Sontarans show back up again. Yeah,
Sure. For a
like
brief
that.
second.
Yeah, that's nice to see some Sontarans in this Sontaran centric story.
Yep.
But yeah, so apparently they didn't leave him breakfast this morning, so he's cranky, and the
Yeah,
doctor gives them jelly babies as he directs
of
them
course.
to. Yeah, he directs them to where the starship landed, which of course they find out was the Sontaran Sontaran pod, which we've seen before on the TV show. And turns out they were mining this. They were trying to get this crystal to power up their hyperdrive, as K9 points out. And along the way, you can see it in the top panel that, to quote a Star Wars movie, the Emperor is coming here. And yeah, they were going to assassinate the imperial royal family. Of course, the one Abbott guy thinks he's going to be the emperor, doesn't realize that the Sontarans are going to double cross him. But well, that's humans for you. Can't really see past their own agenda and past their own greed.
Dumb humans.
Stupid humans. But there are some good humans, like the other Shaolin guy that recruits his friends, the novices, who haven't been brainwashed and hypnotized yet into fighting the cause. They then rally against the bad Shaolin monks, the brainwashed Shaolin guys. The guy uses the keyword to activate or trigger the other monks, and K9 records it and plays it back to hypnotize them and get them on the right side and fight the Abbott guy. And there's some interesting battle, and the old Abbott beats the new Abbott by just flipping him. Didn't do much. See, that's how easy it was for the guy, for the old
He
one.
used his momentum against him.
Yep.
That's true.
Very clever trick.
Mm-hmm.
That works. Always works.
Mm-hmm.
And next panel, this is, I think, probably the most interesting panel of them all. So after all that fighting, after beating the old Abbott, The one Shaolin guy just goes in. I'm not gonna say guns blazing, but swords waving,
Yep.
and he takes on all the Sontarans by himself.
Every Centauran.
Yep, all of them. It,
These
so
things cloned for bloodshed. A Shaolin
yeah,
monk just goes in and wipes them all out and doesn't even have a laser.
trained specifically for war. There's 18 of them, and he's just the one guy. And he
They wouldn't
beats
even
them
know
all.
about the thing at the base of their necks or anything like
Yeah,
that. You wouldn't
I
know.
don't think the dog had time to tell him.
Yep.
So this kind of makes the Sontarans look bad.
Yeah, it's not great.
Really
Not a great look for them. It's not something they'll talk about at their Sontaran clone reunion.
Yep. No. Well, none of them really made it out alive, so they can't.
No, they
But
can't.
that's definitely going to be a blight spot, black spot on the Sontaran history. Something that no Sontaran will ever bring up in conversation ever again.
Yep.
But yeah, after the doctor was offered to stay in the monastery, the guy got out of there alive, and apparently he's gonna live. And the old abbot has been reinstated, and the doctor and Sharon take a cart ride back to where they left the TARDIS in that small village in the beginning of the story. And that's a wrap.
That's it.
Yep,
That's the story.
that's all she wrote. So what do you think of the story overall after slightly revisiting it with what we just did?
Oh, it's fun. It's a Doctor Who comic book. It's fun. Yeah. I don't know what you expected. There wasn't much for the Doctor to do in this one. He had his buddy Chang there do all the ass whipping for him, which is nice. I guess it's a nice break for him. He just got to hang out in ancient China, get to talk to some interesting people, get to see some Sontarans defeated. Actually, he didn't even see. That guy was so fast, he just went in there, whipped their asses, come back out. We had to go back in to get him, I guess. But
Must have been such a bloody war that they couldn't show it in the comic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my God. The Shaolin monks, they're peaceful towards humans.
They're peaceful to a point.
Yeah, to Sontarans.
And this guy, from his introduction, from the first panel you see him, he's introduced as this pacifist who doesn't like fighting. He doesn't like killing, but he still would do it. Like I'm going to bring up the first panel again, where we see him for the first time. Like, while he's defending this woman, he dodges the one Japanese guy and kills him while crying about it.
Yep.
So clearly he's against fighting, he's against war, but got no problem taking out 18 Sontarans.
Yeah, he's probably against it when it comes to fellow humans. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, as far as he's concerned, they're devils, they're demons, so
no problem with that.
They can't be smited down.
That's right.
And weirdly enough, the Doctor doesn't even protest that the guy just murders 18 Sontarans.
He probably didn't think he was going to do anything. He probably think, "Oh, I'm going to have to go pick up Chang's body in a minute." Like, no, other way around.
Yeah, but after he comes out,
he sure seems jolly about it.
Yeah, the Doctor's there is no dude. You just killed 18 people from the Doctor.
Look at that big English smile he has on the bottom there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's the Doctor for you.
He's incredibly happy.
Yep. Incredibly happy at the death of 18 Sontarans.
The massacre of 18 Sontarans.
And granted, they weren't there on a peaceful trip. Yeah, they weren't there on vacation, but still.
Nope. They're only lucky that it was just that pod that dropped off and not one of the main ships, because they couldn't.
Because they mentioned if it was one of the main ships, they could have just cloned millions of them.
That's right. Thank goodness for humankind.
Yep. And Shaolin monks. Of course, you see the bottom there. Next issue, I should say, is The Collector. But that is a story for another time. And this brings another episode of our Sontaran breakdown to a close. Next week, we're going to talk even more Sontarans, but as I mentioned, that is next week. where can the good people of the interwebs find you,
Oh
my good
boy.
friend?
Well, you can find me over on Let's Get Ready Network. Let's see, Thursdays, as the Rewatchers Council. That's the full 144 episode rewatch of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've been doing with Adelia and friends on the council. This week, we talk Halloween. We have our buddy Brennan Moore with us for that one. Very good. That was a lot of fun doing that episode with him. LGRN after Snark this weekend. We'll be talking about my birthday, I guess, because we don't, it's an easy topic to talk about. Thank you very much, sir. It's an easy topic to talk about, and I don't have to do any homework for it. I know my own birthday. And then let's see, LGRN, the highlights channel. We got Starting 11. That's our English Premier League show that airs Tuesdays on the highlights, and then starting this Friday, Playoff Beers is back. I'll be joined by Ryan Christensen. We'll be talking about the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll do our predictions. We'll think about possible trophy winners, and then maybe just general thoughts on how the season went. That'll be this coming Friday, and we'll be doing more live shows throughout the playoffs. Thanks for having me. 50 from the guy who's actually 50.
Hey, it all works out, and you can find me doing some more stuff on this channel every well, today wasn't, but mostly every Monday on the Greatest Show in the Galaxy, where we talk about the Greatest Show in the Galaxy, which is of course this show, Doctor Who. And we had a couple of weeks problems, but I promise you we are going to bring back Fun with Flags on Thursdays on this show. Me and Soda, he just had a really busy couple of weeks. Not really his fault. But if you want to look me up, you can also find me on my YouTube channel, 50 Shades of Geek. I do weekly reviews of every single Doctor Who TV episode from 1963 all the way to 2023. And today I just finally finished reacting to every single Eurovision song for this year's Eurovision Song Contest. So all 37 countries have been watched and reacted to, and they're all on my channel. Most of them, the ones that didn't get blocked because of the stupid YouTube algorithm. So now I got to figure out a new thing to do with my life now that there's no more Eurovision songs to react to. But I'll stay tuned for that, I suppose. And you can also check out all the other wonderful channels from the wider Benverse at large, like Something to Talk About, Galaxy Geeks, Multiverse of Geek, Movie Legend Night, Midnight Cinema, and Reviews, and In the Front Row, which still not pictured in this picture. And of course, just a reminder, we are doing this month of Sontarans for the one guy who actually bested me in a Inner Geekdom trivia show. He beat me while I was in character as a Sontaran, so that was a pretty huge, big win for him. And there was his birthday earlier this month, and we miss him dearly. But that is it for that is enough human sentiment here. Let's not forget, we are Sontarans. We do not show emotions. So until the what?
Except anger.
And rage. And a thirst for battle. And until the next episode, which would once again be all about Sontarans, let us bring us back to the wise words of our one-time ally, the Master, or as he was known at the time, Messi, where she said,
"Don't forget to like and subscribe."
Goodbye, everyone. Sonta ha! Sonta ha! Sonta ha! Sonta ha!